First contact and derision. The quantum equations danced across Dr. Elena Rivera's holographic display, a symphony of possibility that only she and a handful of others truly understood. From her laboratory window high in the Andes Research Complex, the stars seemed close enough to touch. Little did the rest of humanity know how close they truly were to reaching them. Dr. Rivera, her AI assistant, chimed. The Hegemony diplomatic delegation has arrived at Luna Base. The broadcast begins in 3 minutes. Elena nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the equations that would change everything. Thank you, HFY. Display the feed in the corner, please. She wouldn't let the Hegemony's first official contact with Earth distract her from her work. Much. The broadcast flickered to life, showing the gleaming halls of humanity's premier space station. The Hegemony representatives were a sight to behold. The towering crystalline aurorae with their geometric bodies and the serpentine Nexians with their iridescent scales. They moved with the easy confidence of species that had ruled the stars for millennia. We welcome Earth to the greater galactic community. Ambassador Zixtel of the aurorae announced, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. Though you are remarkably primitive by our standards, we believe all sentient life deserves the opportunity to learn from their betters. Elena's fingers tightened on her desk. The condescension in the ambassador's tone was unmistakable. Your achievement of basic fold space travel, while quaint, demonstrates potential, the Nexian representative added, tongue flicking. In time, perhaps centuries, you may advance enough to be considered for provisional membership in the Hegemony. The Earth representatives maintained diplomatic smiles, but Elena could see the tension in their shoulders. Humanity had worked so hard to achieve fold space technology, only to be patronized like children showing off a crude crayon drawing. If they only knew. Elena turned back to her quantum equations. The Hegemony's fold space tech was impressive, yes, but it was also fundamentally limited. Their ships still had to traverse the space between points, even if they did so through a higher dimension. What Elena and her team were developing was something entirely different. Dr. Rivera, HFY interrupted. Quantum coherence is holding steady at 99.8% in the latest simulation. Shall I prepare the lab for a practical test? A smile crept across Elena's face. Yes, HFY. And pull up the feed from our Mars facility. The holographic display split, showing a secure testing chamber on the red planet. Inside sat a simple metal cube, unremarkable except for the quantum entanglement matrix threaded through its atomic structure. Beginning test sequence, Elena announced. Her fingers danced across the controls, adjusting variables with the precision of a concert pianist. Quantum field stabilized. Initiating transfer in 3, 2, 1. The cube vanished. Not with a flash or a bang, but with the simple elegance of a fact being stated. One moment it existed on Mars. The next it existed on Earth, with no intermediate point between. True teleportation, achieved through quantum state transfer across entangled spacetime. The Hegemony ships could fold space to travel faster than light, but humanity's technology simply ignored space altogether. Transfer successful, HFY reported. Object integrity at 100%. No quantum decoherence detected. Elena leaned back in her chair, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction as the Hegemony delegates continued their patronizing speech in the corner of her display. Let them think humanity primitive. Let them underestimate what humans could achieve when challenged. HFY. Send a message to Director Chen. Tell him Project Quantum Gate is ready for Phase 2. She paused, then added, and remind him that the Hegemony sensors can't detect quantum entanglement fields. They don't even know to look for them. As she turned back to her work, Elena thought about the massive structures being built in secret throughout the solar system, ships designed around quantum teleportation cores. The Hegemony thought they were mere orbital habitats and mining facilities. They would learn differently. Soon. In the months that followed, humanity played its role perfectly. They accepted the Hegemony's guidance with apparent gratitude, while their delegates asked carefully crafted questions about the Empire's sensor capabilities and defensive systems. Every patronizing lecture was a gift of intelligence. Every demonstration of superiority revealed another weakness to exploit. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, the first quantum ships were taking shape. Unlike the bulky, ungainly vessels of the hegemony, these were sleek and minimal. They didn't need massive engines or fold-space generators. Elena watched the construction through quantum-linked cameras, her heart swelling with pride. The hegemony had ruled space for thousands of years by controlling the lanes of fold-space travel. They had never imagined that a primitive species would simply decide that space itself was optional. Preliminary fleet tests are ready, HFY announced one evening. The quantum gate network is operational throughout the solar system. Elena nodded, her expression determined. Begin the countdown. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The stars twinkled outside her window, unchanging and eternal. But humanity was about to rewrite the rules of how they could be reached. The hegemony's laughter would stop soon enough. The silent advance. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of Quantum Station Alpha, hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid in the Kuiper Belt. Before her, through quantum-linked displays, she watched as humanity's first true war fleet took shape in secret shipyards scattered across the solar system. Status report, she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 20 years in Earth's defense forces. Her XO, Commander David Santos, pulled up a holographic display. The Quantum Gate network is now operational in all major colonies and outposts. Fleet production is at 87% completion. The hegemony's latest patrol passed within 10,000 kilometers of Shipyard 3 yesterday and detected nothing. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The hegemony's blindness to quantum technology was proving to be their greatest advantage. Where the aliens saw only mining operations and civilian habitats, humanity was building an armada that could appear anywhere in known space at will. "And our latest diplomatic meeting with the hegemony?" she asked. Santos chuckled. "They spent 3 hours explaining to us why our primitive fold space drives were hardly better than chemical rockets. Ambassador Lin played his part perfectly. Asked all the right questions about their sensor systems and defensive capabilities while appearing suitably awed by their superiority. A flash of light announced the arrival of their newest vessel, the QS Hyperion, teleporting instantly from its construction dock to the testing range. Unlike the massive, ornate ships of the hegemony, the Hyperion was sleek and practical. No need for huge engines when you could simply choose to be somewhere else. Hyperion reporting successful quantum jump. The ship's AI announced. All systems nominal. Quantum coherence at 100%. Chen watched as the ship performed its shakedown routine, teleporting rapidly between predetermined points in space. Each jump was instant, perfect, and completely undetectable to conventional sensors. The hegemony's mighty warships, for all their advanced technology, still had to actually travel through space. They had mastered the art of folding space to make that journey shorter, but they were still bound by its fundamental rules. Humanity had simply decided to ignore those rules entirely. Dr. Rivera's breakthrough changed everything. Santos mused, watching the Hyperion's maneuvers. The hegemony thinks they're so advanced, but they never even considered the possibility of quantum teleportation on this scale. Chen nodded. They'd grown complacent. Thousands of years of unchallenged dominance does that to a civilization. They see new species, new ideas, as merely primitive attempts to replicate their own achievements. A priority alert flashed across their displays. "Admiral," the station's AI reported, "we're detecting a hegemony battle group entering the outer solar system. Their course suggests they're planning another routine inspection of Earth's defenses." "Right on schedule," Chen replied. "Signal all quantum facilities to initiate camouflage protocols. Let's give them another boring show of our primitive capabilities." The next few hours were an exercise in careful deception. As the hegemony's massive warships approached Earth, They saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see: a handful of clumsy fold space vessels, a few orbital defense platforms using predictable weapons technology, and plenty of civilian shipping that scattered in apparent awe of their presence. What they didn't see were the quantum ships watching their every move, gathering data on their formations and tactics. They didn't detect the advanced sensor platforms that had teleported into position around their fleet. And they certainly didn't notice when several stealth vessels teleported directly into their formation, recording detailed scans of their supposedly impenetrable shields. "Look at them," Santos said quietly, watching the hegemony ships prowl through the solar system like lords surveying their domain. "They really believe they're invincible." Chen's expression was grim. "That's going to cost them. Not because humanity wants war. We don't. But the hegemony's arrogance is pushing us toward conflict whether we want it or not. Their protective patrols are getting more aggressive, their demands more unreasonable." She turned to face the holographic display, showing the growing quantum fleet. Nearly 1,000 ships now, each capable of instant travel anywhere in known space. A force that could appear without warning, strike from impossible angles, and vanish before the enemy could respond. "We're almost ready," she said. "The quantum gate network extends to every human world and outpost. The fleet is nearly complete. Soon." "Admiral," the station AI interrupted. "Priority message from Earth Command. The hegemony has announced new restrictions on human space travel and colonization. They're citing safety concerns and proper developmental guidelines for primitive species." Chen's jaw tightened. "They're trying to box us in. Limit our growth while they expand their own presence in our sector of space." She straightened her uniform. "Well, they can keep laughing at our primitive technology for a little while longer. But soon they're going to learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to think beyond established limitations." As if to emphasize her point, the Hyperion executed another perfect quantum jump, vanishing from one point in space and appearing instantly at another. No flash, no distortion, no warning. Just the simple assertion that distance was now optional for humanity. The hegemony's reign of unchallenged superiority was about to end. They just didn't know it yet. Breaking point. The emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council was called at midnight. Ambassador Marcus Lynn sat at the circular table, his normally diplomatic demeanor strained as he delivered the news that would change everything. "The hegemony has declared our colony on Proxima B to be in violation of their developmental guidelines," he announced, his voice tight with controlled anger. "They're demanding immediate evacuation of all human presence in the system within 72 hours. Any remaining residents will be relocated by hegemony forces." Admiral Chen's hologram flickered above the table, her expression stone cold. "Proxima B houses over 3 million colonists. Evacuation in 72 hours is physically impossible with our publicly known capabilities." "They know that," Dr. Elena Rivera interjected, her quantum-linked projection joining the council. "This isn't about guidelines or safety. They're testing us, pushing to see how we'll respond to a direct challenge." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For 5 years, humanity had played the role of the humble newcomer, accepting the hegemony's increasingly restrictive guidance, while secretly preparing for this moment. Now, the Empire's true face was showing itself. "We have confirmed reports," Lin continued, "that hegemony warships are already moving into position around several other human colonies. This isn't just about Proxima B. They're planning to systematically restrict our expansion, force us back to Earth's immediate vicinity." Director James Chen of Earth Defense Forces pulled up a strategic display. "The hegemony's movements suggest a coordinated operation. They're positioning fleet elements to control all major approach vectors to our colonies. By their calculations, we'd be helpless to resist." "Their calculations are wrong," Admiral Chen stated flatly. "The quantum fleet is ready. Every ship is crewed, every system tested. We can deploy the entire force in under 5 minutes." Dr. Rivera nodded. The quantum gate network extends to all our colonies now. We can evacuate civilians instantly if needed, or deploy defensive forces faster than the hegemony can react. The only question is, do we reveal our true capabilities now? The council chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for continued patience, for finding a diplomatic solution. Others insisted that the hegemony had shown its true intentions. They would never accept humanity as equals. They see us as primitives to be contained and controlled. Lynn said quietly, silencing the room. Every concession we've made has only encouraged them to demand more. They believe their power is absolute because they've never encountered a species that could challenge their technological superiority. Through quantum-linked sensors, they watched as more hegemony warships emerged from fold space near human colonies. Massive vessels, each one a testament to thousands of years of technological development. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields were supposedly impenetrable. Their fold space drives let them control all known space lanes. And they were completely blind to the quantum ships watching their every move. "Show us the fleet status," Director Chen commanded. The strategic display shifted, showing the true extent of humanity's hidden strength. Over 1,000 quantum ships, positioned throughout human space, but cloaked from conventional detection. Each one could teleport instantly to any point in known space, completely ignoring the limitations of traditional space travel. "The evacuation protocols are ready," Admiral Chen reported. "We can relocate every colonial population to secure facilities the moment that hegemony makes a hostile move. After that," she paused, her hologram's eyes hard. "After that, we show them exactly how much they've underestimated humanity." Dr. Rivera's projection stepped forward. "There's something else you need to see." She gestured, and a new set of data appeared. "We've completed analysis of the hegemony's shield technology. Their defenses are optimized against known weapons, energy beams, kinetic impacts, fold space distortions, but they have no protection against quantum insertion." "Meaning?" Lynn asked. "Meaning we can teleport our weapons directly inside their shields," Admiral Chen explained. "Their greatest defense is useless against an attack that simply ignores the space between here and there." The council chamber grew quiet as the implications became clear. Humanity had not just achieved parity with the hegemony. In some ways, they had surpassed them. The Empire's mighty warships, their supposedly invincible defenses, were vulnerable to an attack they couldn't even detect coming. "We should still attempt one final diplomatic solution," Lynn suggested, "not out of weakness, but to be absolutely certain that the hegemony forces this confrontation." Director Chen nodded. "Agreed. We'll send a formal protest regarding their ultimatum. But the moment they make a move against any human colony," he looked around the room, meeting each council member's eyes. "The moment they prove that force is their only language, we reveal exactly what humanity is capable of." As if to punctuate his words, another hegemony battle group emerged from fold space, their massive ships taking up aggressive positions near Earth's colonies. They moved with the casual arrogance of an empire that had never known defeat, never faced a truly equal opponent. That was about to change. Humanity had hidden its strength long enough. The hegemony's laughter was about to stop, replaced by a harsh lesson about the dangers of underestimating a species that refused to accept limitations. The Quantum Armada. The hegemony's ultimatum expired at midnight Earth time. Their massive warships loomed over Proxima B, weapons charge, as Admiral Zixtal of the hegemony addressed the human colonists. "Your presence here violates established guidelines for developing species." The Admiral's crystalline form pulsed with apparent satisfaction. "We will now begin the mandatory relocation of your population. Resistance would be unfortunate." In her command center aboard the QS Hyperion, Admiral Chen watched the transmission with cold fury. "Status of colonial evacuation complete, Admiral," her XO reported. "The moment the hegemony ships arrived, we began quantum teleporting civilians to secure facilities. The colonies appear populated only because we're maintaining holographic signatures to fool their sensors. Chen nodded. Status of the quantum fleet. All ships in position, quantum cores synchronized. The entire fleet can deploy on your command. The Admiral stood, straightening her uniform. Send our response to the hegemony. On every hegemony ship, on every command frequency, humanity's message played. Ambassador Lin's voice was calm, measured, but carried an edge of steel. To Admiral Zixtal and the hegemony forces, your ultimatum and threats against peaceful human colonies constitute an act of war. We reject your authority to dictate humanity's development. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces from human space. Laughter echoed across the command channels. Actual laughter from the hegemony commanders. Your bravado is amusing, Zixtal responded. But what exactly do you think your primitive fleet can do against the combined might of the hegemony? We don't even detect your ships in the system. 20 seconds. Lin's voice replied simply. This is your final warning, Zixtal announced. Submit to relocation or face the consequences of your defiance. 10 seconds. The hegemony ships began powering up their primary weapons, their massive forms casting shadows over the seemingly helpless human colonies below. Time's up, Lin said. Admiral Chen, you may proceed. What happened next would be recorded in 1,000 histories across the galaxy. In a single instant, without warning or transition, over 1,000 human warships simply appeared. They didn't emerge from fold space, didn't streak in from distant positions. One moment they didn't exist, and the next they were there, their quantum cores allowing them to ignore the very concept of distance. The hegemony fleet found itself surrounded, human ships materializing in perfect attack positions, including inside their own formation. Before they could react, before they could even register the impossibility of what they were seeing, the quantum ships opened fire. Weapons specifically designed to exploit the hegemony's blind spot teleported directly through their supposedly impenetrable shields. Precision strikes disabled weapon systems and engines without destroying the vessels themselves. In the space of 30 seconds, the entire hegemony battle group was neutralized. By the eternal void, Zixtal's voice shook. What is this technology? This, Admiral Chen responded, finally breaking her silence, is what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. While you laughed at our primitive technology, we were developing something you never even imagined possible. Across human space, the scene repeated itself. Quantum ships appeared simultaneously at every human colony, neutralizing hegemony forces before they could react. The Empire's mighty warships, the terror of 1,000 species, found themselves helpless against an enemy that could strike anywhere, instantly, without warning. Impossible, another hegemony commander protested. Your species barely mastered fold space travel. You can't have developed this level of technology in secret. You assumed we would follow the same technological path you did, Chen replied. That we would try to replicate your achievements instead of finding our own solutions. That was your first mistake. Your second was believing that our acceptance of your guidance meant we accepted your right to control us. The quantum ships maintained their positions, their very presence a demonstration of humanity's leap beyond conventional space travel. Where the hegemony had mastered the art of folding space to make journeys shorter, humanity had simply decided that distance itself was optional. These are our terms, Ambassador Lin's voice returned, addressing all hegemony forces simultaneously. You will withdraw all military forces from human space immediately. You will acknowledge humanity's right to independent development and colonization. And you will recognize us not as primitives to be controlled, but as equals to be respected. And if we refuse, Zixtal demanded, though his voice lacked its former confidence. In response, several quantum ships performed a series of synchronized jumps, teleporting in complex patterns that defied the laws of space as the hegemony understood them. The message was clear. Humanity could strike anywhere, at any time, without warning or defense. Then we demonstrate exactly what our primitive technology is capable of. Chen stated, "The choice is yours, Admiral. But remember, your shields cannot stop us, your sensors cannot track us, and your fastest ships cannot escape us. Will the hegemony's pride be worth the cost of learning exactly how far humanity has advanced while you were busy laughing at us?" New Dawn. 3 months after the quantum fleet's revelation, the Great Hall of the Hegemony lay silent as humanity's representatives took their seats at the High Council for the first time. The crystalline spires of the hegemony capital world sparkled outside, their light reflecting off the diverse forms of 100 alien species gathered to witness history. Dr. Elena Rivera stood beside Ambassador Lin, her quantum equations now acknowledged as one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs in galactic history. The hegemony's own scientists were still struggling to understand how humanity had achieved what they'd dismissed as impossible. The Council recognizes the representatives of Earth and her colonies. First Speaker Vix announced, their crystalline forms subdued compared to the usual hegemony pomp. "We are here to ratify the Treaty of New Dawn, establishing humanity's status as a full and equal member of the galactic community." Ambassador Lin stepped forward, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. Humanity accepts this recognition, not as a gift granted by the hegemony, but as an acknowledgement of what we have already proven, that no species has a monopoly on innovation, and that age does not always equal wisdom. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. 3 months ago, such words would have been considered unthinkable insolence. Now, they were simply truth. The events at Proxima b have forced us all to reconsider many assumptions, Vix acknowledged. The hegemony's policy of guiding younger species clearly requires reformation. We have learned that different paths of development can lead to extraordinary advances we never imagined. From her position in the gallery, Admiral Chen watched with carefully concealed satisfaction. The hegemony's mighty warships had been thoroughly humbled by humanity's quantum fleet, but not a single life had been lost. The demonstration of power had been precise, controlled, and impossible to ignore. The treaty establishes new protocols for first contact situations. Lin continued, "No more will developing species be treated as children to be controlled. Instead, the galactic community will truly welcome new perspectives and new ways of thinking." Dr. Rivera activated a holographic display, showing the principles of quantum teleportation, not the full technical details, but enough to demonstrate how humanity had approached space travel from an entirely different angle. "We didn't try to improve upon fold space technology," she explained to the assembled delegates. "We ask ourselves why we needed to traverse space at all. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come not from refining existing solutions, but from questioning the problem itself." The implications weren't lost on anyone present. The hegemony had spent millennia perfecting their mastery of fold space travel, building their empire on their control of space lanes and transit routes. Humanity had simply made such control irrelevant. Under the terms of the treaty, Vix announced, humanity will share certain aspects of their quantum technology with the galactic community. In return, the hegemony and all aligned species acknowledge humanity's sovereign right to explore and colonize space without restriction. "We offer this technology," Lin added, "not because we must, but because we believe in the potential of cooperation between equals. Humanity has no desire to replace one empire with another. We seek partners, not subjects." Throughout the chamber, representatives of other developing species watched with new hope in their eyes. The hegemony's absolute authority had been broken not by force of arms, but by the power of innovation and the courage to think differently. A series of chimes indicated the treaty's ratification. As the formal ceremony concluded, Dr. Rivera found herself approached by a group of young hegemony scientists, their crystalline forms vibrating with barely contained excitement. "Your quantum theories," one of them burst out, "abandoning centuries of hegemony dignity. They're beautiful. We never even considered such possibilities. Would you be willing to collaborate on further research?" Rivera smiled. This was what humanity had hoped for, not just recognition, but the chance to build something new. Of course, science advances fastest when we share ideas and perspectives. Later, at the diplomatic reception, Admiral Chen stood with Ambassador Lin, watching the mixed groups of humans and aliens engaged in animated discussion. "They're already calling it the quantum revolution," Lin remarked. "Not just the technology, but the change in thinking it represents." The hegemony's power was based on everyone following the same path, measuring progress by how well they could replicate existing achievements. Chen nodded. "And now they're learning that true progress often comes from finding entirely new paths, from questioning basic assumptions about what's possible." "The galaxy will never be the same," Lin mused. "And that's exactly what we wanted. Not to replace the hegemony's dominance with our own, but to create a future where every species is free to find their own way forward." As if to emphasize his point, a group of delegates' children, human and alien alike, were gathered around Dr. Rivera as she demonstrated a simple quantum effect, their questions and excitement showing none of the prejudices or assumptions of their elders. The hegemony's laughter had stopped, yes, but it had been replaced by something far more valuable. The sound of different species coming together as equals, each bringing their own unique perspective to the great challenge of understanding the universe. Humanity had not just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They had changed how power itself was viewed, replacing an empire of control with a community of collaboration. The new dawn was not just for humanity, but for all species who dared to think beyond the boundaries of what they were told was possible.